Hey, welcome to the bonus content for our first season of Why Apologetics. In our first season, we've covered the intersection of Christianity and politics, and it is pretty much material that I recorded when I led Ratio Christi at UAH. Ratio Christi was a apologetics club, and it was a lot of fun being able to have my first full semester there teaching. I was an engineer that did this as just a ministry on the side. And we had actually started the chapter in late January of that year. And it took us a semester to get enough student interest to become a recognized student organization and to be able to fully meet on campus. They let us have a few sessions on campus in the spring of that year, but it was our responsibility to get enough students to sign on to be able to have full access to the campus and meet regularly. So what you just saw in this series was a lot of fun to do, and it was a learning experience for me. And I'm by no means a political expert. I think I shared in one of the videos that it really wasn't until about 2 years before those sessions were recorded, 2008, that I really started getting into politics and just becoming a news junkie and learning a lot more about why I believe what I believe about politics and policies by reading a lot of books and listening to a lot of podcasts and paying attention to the debates and other political issues going on during that season. And so I hope that the wisdom and knowledge that I gained I was able to share in a clear and compelling way. But one of the things I came across that was really interesting that I've never taught on before, and it's kind of more of a side issue, but it goes more into that intersection of Christianity and politics question of what was the intent of the Founding Fathers. You know, today we hear about the separation of church and state, and there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding about that. So one thing I came across that was really helpful is actually on the Library of Congress website. Now, their website looks different today than it did 10 years ago. And as I was reviewing it to prepare for making this video, I noticed that they've added some content, they've removed some. The main thing I'd love for you to look at, and I'm putting a screenshot on your screen right now with the website address. With the website address is religion and the founding of the American Republic. Now, if you look in the right under that logo, right in the middle of the screen there, they have the different sections, and each one's really interesting. They have some primary documents that you can look at and read for yourself. But the main thing I want you to check out is religion and the founding of the American Republic. And as you scroll down on that page, you'll find out that there was a debate on how involved the government should be in religion. Now, I know what you're thinking. It shouldn't be involved at all. There's a separation, right? Well, no. If you read the First Amendment, the Establishment Clause, it says that Congress shall not pass any law respecting any religion. But the point is, that was a restriction on Congress, on the federal government. The federal government could not have a national religion. And that makes sense because a lot of the people that came to America came from countries that did have a quote-unquote state religion. And that's actually the reason why the Pilgrims left even earlier. You know, when the Pilgrims left Europe, they left because of religious persecution, because there was a state religion that they were pushing against. And so they came to America. And so that is something that happened during that period of time, the Reformation, the 16th through 19th centuries. There was a lot of state religions in Europe. The original states, many of them had state religions. In fact, after the ratification of the Constitution, there were still state religions because states could do that. That was a part of states' rights. If they wanted to fund a particular church, a particular denomination, they could. And so taxes were taken and they were used to pay the church, to fund the church in America before, during, and after the ratification of the Constitution of the United States. Now, one of the things I couldn't find on their website, they seem to have taken down, is they had a paragraph that actually talked about what I remember as being like the last example of that. When did that end? And it was either something like the 1810 or 1820 something. So by 1830, there was no more states funding religion. But I can remember for certain into the early 1800s, some states did. And so read that web page, maybe explore around some of the other pages. Maybe you'll find what I'm talking about there. But the point is, this website shows that that was an issue of debate for whether states wanted to have state religions, which means that a lot of what we've heard about the separation of church and state isn't true. Because the First Amendment, the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, was ratified, I think it's like about 10, 12 years after the Constitution, so late 1780s. By 1790, if memory serves, the Bill of Rights was passed. And yet they still did these things on a state level. And so I just thought that was interesting. It's not a point to argue that we should have that today. Really, all it is to say that, when it comes to the separation of church and state, there is misinformation out there, even today. And we should be able to be discerning and look for source documentation. Go back to, the founding of our country and see what their actual intent was. So that was just a little bit of bonus content. Like I said, it doesn't have that much to do with today's issues, but I just thought that was interesting, and I've used that as a talking point, conversations on the separation of church and state that people have engaged me with. So to finish this out, I do want to announce our next season, which will come out later this summer, 2020, and it's going to be on the Old Testament, primarily on how does the Old Testament apply today, and some of the implications of that. And I'll tell you, I don't take the majority opinion on this. I will teach that just for a frame of reference, just so you're aware of what the most common viewpoint is today. But I'm going to make a case for what I think is the right understanding of how the Old Testament applies today. And I hope you'll find it beneficial. And thanks for viewing these videos. And if you would, subscribe to the channel. See these videos as they come out. And of course, I'll publish other stuff along the way. We're not just doing seasons, we're doing other cool stuff too. So thanks for joining us at Why Apologetics, and we'll see you next time.